punches in the ring, flying round for round, who's the undisputed king? Pound for pound, the fight is over. Let's get to talking. Sit back and listen to BeefysBoxing.
Welcome to Mr. Beefy's Boxing, or just Beefy's Boxing, where we cover all kinds of boxing news and boxing subjects, where we have the meats by the pounds and covers the fights by the rounds. Before we jump into the video, be sure to like and subscribe so we can get the channel out to as many as possible. Now, on to today's topic. So this Thursday, Oscar had a lot to say, and he was speaking about being left out of Turkey's meeting with, all the big promoters, except for the American ones for some reason. And he was speaking about having no contact so far about Ben versus Garcia, despite all the talks being put out. It's very interesting. And Oscar, big up to him for standing up and actually saying something and making it known. So after Turkey said that he owns 60% of Zuffa and serves as the chairman, De La Hoya accused him of using boxing's biggest names to help build the new promotion. No doubt about that. He definitely has done that. And we've all kind of seen that coming. We was all wondering what was his ultimate goal whenever he stepped into this whole sport and started throwing his money around and trying to swerve promoters and shit. But he continues, and Oscar, he says, because Turkey owns Zuffa and he wants to help them out, he picked Conor Benn, which is no doubt one of the biggest personalities that he has signed so far. Then Oscar goes on and tells how he hasn't been contacted about making the fight between Ben and Garcia. He says, I have yet to be approached about making this fight. We signed a 2-fight deal for Ryan with the Saudis last year. The first fight was with Barrios, and apparently the Saudis have chosen Conor Benn to be Ryan's next opponent. He then tried to tie the whole Ben-Ryan situation to the recent meeting that Turkey had, and that meeting, it put out some good pictures, but we still haven't learned anything from it, even though they said big changes were coming. But Oscar had this to say on it. It's why you wanted to call a peace meeting with Frank and Eddie over a war that you started. And, by the way, you left me, Al Heyman, and Bob Arum out of your peace meeting. And guess what? We control the U.S. market. And there is no denying that. For the most part, they do. Even though they're kind of letting it just die. There's hard evidence to go against it. I mean, they're not really putting on the biggest shows. I think the last few biggest shows here in America were put on through Turkey or by Turkey in some way. Well, no, we gotta give Eddie some credit because he has BAM, and there's no doubt he's a star. Oscar goes on and tries to argue how the Zuffa Boxing, that whole company, is being prioritized and pushed over the already established American ones, and they're trying to swerve people's contracts and relationships and shit like that. And to some point, I can understand where he's coming from, especially if they are trying to poach fighters. But we still have to wait to see what boxer, Ben Shalom and all them, they have to say and do in the courts about that. But on the subject of all of it, Oscar says, you can't just do whatever you want here in America. There are laws and legally binding contracts. You can't call up any fighter you want and make a fight. You can't put fights on any network you want. It will be interesting to see how all this is going to turn out because there is the cease and desist order, I think, from Oscar. There's another legal issue being brought up from, Ben Shalom. And then there's also, or there were at one point, some issues between Eddie, Frank, and the whole Fury Dana White promotion. But that might have been settled at the recent summit, which we still have yet to hear anything about. We'll have to wait and see, but right now, once again, big up to Oscar. At least he's saying something and, making it known and putting Dana on blast and the whole thing, because a lot of people are just allowing Turkey to do whatever he wants because he has the cash, and it's hard to, say no to that kind of money. But Oscar, he's standing his ground, it seems, so far. Let me know your thoughts below. Well, that was the final bell. The video is coming to an end. Before we end the video, I gotta say one more time, thank you so much for watching. Remember everybody, it's all about attitude. There is no progress without struggle, so stay in there. I've been your host, Mr. Beefy, and you all have been fantastic.